While most people start thinking about their garden when spring rolls around, the Amish are already miles ahead. Their gardens begin long before the soil warms, often in the dead of winter. This first trick may surprise many. Amish gardening starts with deep, intentional planning. Using hand-drawn maps of last year's beds, they rotate crops with surgical precision. It's not just about planting something new. It's about ensuring the soil isn't depleted, pests don't return to familiar territory, and every row pulls its weight. The Amish observe the rhythms of the land year after year, passing down journals that track which plots grew, which crops, and how well they yielded. That way, they never plant tomatoes in the same spot 2 years in a row, and their cabbages don't suffer from soil-borne diseases. This early planning isn't done with glossy catalogs or computer spreadsheets. It's done with notebooks, memory, and a trust in God's patterns. They also inventory seeds they've saved from last season, a trick that saves hundreds of dollars and gives them control over crop quality. These seeds are heirloom varieties adapted to their specific microclimates, and because they've been saved generation after generation, they grow stronger, faster, and with less intervention. No need to repurchase expensive seeds every year or rely on genetic modifications. Their best technology is heritage and wisdom. By the time most people are browsing seed websites, the Amish already have their trays ready, seed starting mixes prepped, and cold frames built. Their timing is guided by the lunar calendar and old farmers' almanacs, traditions that might sound outdated but continue to produce stunning results. This winter prep reduces waste, increases yield, and eliminates the stress of rushing decisions when spring arrives. If gardening is a race, the Amish don't sprint at the start. They sharpen their tools in the snow, walk with purpose, and always finish ahead. It's one of the quietest yet most powerful secrets to growing more food with far less work. When it comes to efficient gardening, the Amish have mastered a strategy most modern gardeners overlook: raised rows instead of raised beds. While urban gardeners often build expensive wooden boxes, fill them with store-bought soil, and struggle with drainage, the Amish skip all of that and let the land do the work. By simply mounding the soil into gently elevated ridges, they create long, neat rows that drain better, warm up faster in spring, and provide a natural walkway between crops. This eliminates the need for weeding between plants, prevents soil compaction around roots, and reduces the physical strain of constant bending. The result? More food, less effort. The Amish use hand tools like hoes and wheel hoes to shape these rows, and they avoid the use of mechanical tillers whenever possible. Their soil isn't something to be churned violently every year. It's treated with care. A light top dressing of compost is added before spring planting, and straw or dried leaves are often layered between the rows to suppress weeds and retain moisture. This method not only reduces the need for watering, but also helps earthworms thrive, which naturally aerates the soil. And with no wooden frame to rot or nails to pull loose, raised rows are easier to maintain year after year. Another subtle benefit of the raised row method is how it controls erosion. After decades of observation, Amish gardeners learn to orient their rows east to west or follow the natural slope of the land, reducing runoff and protecting the soil structure. In flood-prone areas, raised rows act as natural barriers, ensuring that crops stay dry even during heavy rains. This trick also extends the planting window. Since the mounded soil warms faster than flat ground, planting can begin weeks earlier in spring and last longer into the fall. It's a strategy rooted in simplicity, yet it yields results that outpace many modern gardening systems. In the Amish garden, every plant has a purpose, and often a partner. One of the most effective and ancient tricks they use to maximize yields with minimal input is companion planting. This is where different crops are grown near each other to boost growth, repel pests, or enrich the soil. It's not folklore. It's a strategic dance of nature that the Amish have mastered. Take the classic Three Sisters method, for example: corn, beans, and squash. Corn provides the stalks, beans climb the stalks and fix nitrogen into the soil, and the squash shades the ground to prevent weeds. This trio is found in nearly every Amish garden and demonstrates how smart pairing leads to healthier soil and less weeding, fertilizing, or spraying. Another favorite Amish combination is tomatoes with basil. The basil not only enhances flavor when harvested together, it repels insects that typically chew on tomato leaves. Carrots and onions are often interplanted, as the strong smell of one confuses the pests of the other. Marigolds are tucked into corners not just for beauty, but because they naturally deter nematodes and aphids. Dill is placed near cabbage, not only to improve flavor, but to attract beneficial insects that prey on caterpillars. Amish gardens aren't organized by straight lines of single crops. They're thoughtfully woven with supportive species that work in harmony. This method reduces reliance on chemical fertilizers and pesticides, saving time, money, and soil health. It also prevents the burnout that comes from monoculture planting, where one crop depletes specific nutrients and attracts the same pests year after year. With companion planting, biodiversity flourishes, and that balance creates a self-maintaining ecosystem. The Amish don't garden harder, they garden smarter, mimicking natural forests and meadows where multiple plants coexist and protect each other. This technique, when applied with consistency, allows them to grow healthier crops, avoid infestations, and eliminate many of the backbreaking chores that come with conventional gardening. One of the biggest reasons people give up on gardening is weeds. They seem to spring up overnight, choking crops and stealing nutrients. But the Amish don't let weeds win. They outsmart them with a powerful, low-effort combination of mulching, timing, and strategic discipline. Forget chemical sprays or noisy weed whackers. Amish weed control starts from the moment the soil is prepared. They know the best time to weed is before weeds appear, and the best weapon is mulch. Lots of it, layers of straw, dried leaves, grass clippings, or even old newspaper are spread thick between rows and around the base of plants. This not only blocks sunlight from reaching weed seeds, but also retains moisture in the soil, cutting watering needs in half. The Amish also weed with purpose. Instead of waiting until weeds are knee-high, they use hoes, hands, and wheel hoes regularly, but briefly. A quick daily pass through the garden with a sharp hoe can eliminate hundreds of tiny invaders in minutes. They don't let weeds grow tall enough to set roots or seeds. Because their rows are raised and spaced precisely, these tools move through effortlessly, requiring little bending or digging. And when a patch does get overrun, they don't panic. They smother it with heavy mulch, tarp it for a week, or plant a quick-growing cover crop like buckwheat to shade out the problem naturally. Even the garden layout helps. By planting in rows or blocks with footpaths in between, and by using perennial borders like herbs or flowers to shield the edges, the Amish reduce the number of areas where weeds can sneak in. And because they avoid overwatering and over-fertilizing, which often favors weed growth, they naturally create an environment where food plants thrive, but weeds struggle. The result? A cleaner garden, stronger crops, and far less labor throughout the growing season. The Amish know that if you spend just a few minutes daily controlling weeds early, you avoid hours of frustration later. And that makes gardening not just more productive, but more peaceful. To the Amish, healthy soil isn't a background detail. It's the entire foundation of gardening success. One of their greatest tricks to growing more food with less work lies beneath the surface. They constantly feed and build the soil, not just the plants. Unlike many modern gardeners who dump synthetic fertilizer into the ground and hope for the best, the Amish work year-round to enrich their soil naturally, creating an ecosystem that does most of the growing on its own. They treat soil as a living organism, one that needs care, rest, and nourishment. Compost is king in every Amish homestead. Kitchen scraps, garden clippings, manure, wood ash, straw, and even crushed eggshells are layered into massive compost piles that steam and break down over time into rich, black gold. These piles are turned by hand or pitchfork to speed decomposition and ensure even distribution of nutrients. Come planting season, this compost is worked lightly into the topsoil, feeding earthworms, microbes, and fungi, all of which help break down minerals and deliver nutrients to plant roots. This living web reduces the need for constant fertilization and results in stronger, deeper-rooted crops. They also rotate crops strategically to balance nutrients. While many modern gardeners struggle with when, how, and how much to water, the Amish have refined their methods over generations to use less water with greater efficiency. Their secret? Observation, conservation, and smart delivery. They don't rely on complex sprinkler systems or automated irrigation timers. Instead, they use gravity-fed rainwater systems, hand-pumped wells, and simple watering cans to deliver moisture directly where it matters most, the roots. There's no broadcast watering over leaves or walkways. Every drop is treated as a gift from God, not to be wasted. Most Amish farms have barrels or cisterns that collect rainwater from barn roofs and house gutters. These barrels are elevated slightly to allow gravity to create enough pressure to fill a watering can or drip line. Because they collect and store this water passively, they avoid using electricity and never depend on municipal water supplies. They also water in the early morning or evening when the sun is low, reducing evaporation. Amish gardeners learn to read the soil by touch, a skill that tells them more than any gauge or digital sensor. If the earth clumps but isn't soggy, it's just right. In the end, Amish gardening isn't just about food, it's about freedom, from debt, from dependence, from the chaos of modern life. It's about doing more with less, because you've learned to listen more deeply and work more wisely. These 50 tricks aren't just techniques, they're philosophies rooted in tradition, humility, and joy. And maybe the greatest secret of all? The Amish don't see gardening as work. They see it as a gift. One seed, one row, one season at a time.